Roll20 is fighting for the #1 seed at the end of Phase 2 for North America. It gives them a great seed going into the HGC finals at BlizzCon.
The best.
Kind of the event of the year.
Best positioning for the best event. It's the dream, but they're one game away. It is not done yet. Spacestation Gaming has something to say about it, but it doesn't seem like it's too vocal of a voice. You know, not too, it's not Dreadnought level loud. You know, it's only like human level loud.
You're loud? I never noticed.
You know, people at home might kind of pick up on that because they're naturally, we kind of scream at things, but they don't actually know that just by speaking, I am about 2 times the decibels of your average human being.
That is true. You must be so fun to study at a library with.
I am the best.
Game 3 is about to start between Roll20 and Spacestation. Spacestation is chosen second pick so that they can pick the map, but they picked Infernal Shrines.
Which is a very good map for the members of Roll20. Yeah. So are we going to get a wild strategy? There's, out of anybody, it would be Spacestation Gaming, right? The fact that they were the ones, they adjusted the map, they adjusted if they wanted first pick or not, and so I'm ready to be, you know, ready to see it. I have no idea what Daihu. Originally, you'd be like, oh, is this a Kerrigan dream? Is this the Alarak busted out? What is it going to be? Spacestation? But now it's like, I have no idea. The Zod. That's all I got for you.
What do you think it's going to be another Uther first pick for Jason?
I'm thinking it. Yeah. Roll20. If you wanted a real BM, you might ban out the Uther first pick, but they decide otherwise. They're going to go with the Genji.
This is one of the Medivh maps. Ooh, ETC ban for Spacestation.
What if Roll20 busts out the Zod, though? Where do you think they would do it? I'm guessing post-secondary ban phase?
Oh, you're talking about on, okay. Yeah. Yeah, I agree with that.
First pick Vol is not something we get to see too often.
No.
Could lead to a double support play. That's the first thing, I mean, you've got to be thinking when considering high Vala pickups like that on a map where she doesn't stand out. Not even bosses don't exist here. No race. There's just about nothing that screams out, this is the Vala go-to. So what kind of synergies are we going to see through that 2-3 of Roll20?
So for Spacestation to take Tassadar here, if they're concerned about that, there's just so many different iterations of double support now as possibilities that, I don't know. Normally I would say Spacestation would love Tassadar. They have really liked playing Tassadar. Tassonia is something that they've played before. Task Tracer was an old classic. But Equinox isn't here, and those are 2 of Equinox's heroes.
And that's kind of awkward when, again, talking about like the Kerrigan and those other melee assassins, that might be the wild standout strategy of Infernal Shrines. They all rely on Equinox, so it kind of is just like, I don't know. They go with the Uther, and then they got themselves a Greymane, so very generic picks there, other than, again, the priority of Uther a bit higher for them. Tassadar, I assume, is going to be the selection here for Roll20 to be able to synergize with that Vala. Do they want anything past that? Do they feel like they need anything past that? I mean, maybe a Zod. I don't know. I'm just going to bring it up every rotation. Just, I don't, you know, maybe.
Every time someone's picking. But not the bands, though, right? Don't jinx us.
No. Somehow that's probably going to happen. You're right.
Maybe they're tank here because there's already an ETC ban.
If you go in that direction, Arthas isn't terrible. It doesn't stand out too heavy with the ETC gone. There's a Lucio and there's a Morales. Double support picked up here for Roll20. Very, very high in rotation. They've got that Vala, so it is the Vala double support hyper carry.
Yep. And sort of one like we would see from Gale Force eSports with Vala Morales. Warriors are a potential pressure point for Spacestation now. They already have an ETC ban. They can ban another, pick up a third before Roll20 can get to Justing's hero.
If you're Spacestation Gaming, I mean, your first thought into that double support is got to be just dive. I mean, just kill them as hard as you possibly can. The Arthas ban is very cleverly done from them. If they aren't going to pick it up for themselves, it is one of the best warriors to have in a double support onto the front line, enabling the Vala to constantly dive back and forth. It makes up for the weaknesses of the Arthas in general. But I need to see some kind of dive here from Spacestation Gaming and ways to flank over. The false head, if it's banned on Roll20, I think is a huge, very well done ban. Just because that is one of the few things that can force this fight that this double support who kind of likes to know what fight they're taking needs. And so just anything to go. The fight is now, and it's going to be very quick, hopefully death ball-y oriented, is going to be the best thing for Spacestation Gaming. And if they fail to have that, I feel like Roll20 is just gonna, I mean, it's gonna be the Glarong on Vala show, much like Gale Force does.
Yeah, and Gul'dan is somewhat similar to that too. You can split apart the whole composition with the Horrify. It is something that Roll20 have been willing to play on Wave Clear Battlegrounds. It's something that Space Station would be too. It's going to give a lot to the Shrines, give a lot to the Wave Clear of the 4-1. But it does still leave open now a potential fall stat for Space Station. Other dive-type heroes, Tyrael is still up.
Yeah, Tyrael would be a pretty effective one. Is there anything? New Baraka is one of the better dive heroes in the game, but
we've seen Daihu play that too.
Yeah, and it would work in like I want to force the fight right now, but you need somebody else other than just the New Baraka to make that happen. And again, without Arthas, it would have to be like Tyrael and Noob, and I would rather have Tyrael Arthas than those two. So I'm hoping it's not the Anub, but it's still, if it is the Anub, hopefully in a solo warrior rather than in that kind of double, and somebody else forces the initiation. But
you could cocoon either Lucio or Morales, and then you don't have the help of the other support, but there's a Noob and Falstad.
It's a double win here, both offensive. Roll20 is getting now they want the Tyrael, conveniently enough. Now you want another safety net for the two supports across the board to make sure that they don't have to overreact to save the other, that Lucio and Lieutenant Morales are not going, well, we're gusted now. If Sound Barrier doesn't go off, we're all just dead, because that is what's going to happen. If there's a gust and just cocoon Lucio, how is Vala going to survive with just a poor little Morales? I mean, it's possible. It's just very, very hard compared to a normal double support. And then Tyrael, he's just like, well, I'll Sanctification. I will save the day.
So you see this as a double. Do you think this is going to be two warriors here? Okay.
Just a solo Tyrael to be the thing that makes sure it is the extra pause button that Roll20 needs with this style composition. And, ooh, you could. I don't think you should, but I think you could. I would prefer like a Tyrael and then Shrine Control, Melee Assassin, like a Sonya. They go with the Johanna and then still pick up the Sonya, which doesn't really synergize with that exact same thought process. Just puts a lot more Shrine Control onto the members of Roll20. Actually, there is a synergy that those two have that I haven't seen in a long time. Is that possible? Is that the Falling Sword? It would one-shot Falstad, but Uther's legitimately one of the worst supports to do that into, just because it's very, very easy to mitigate and stay out of that range. Divine Shield, it's all done.
Yep.
Also, you have Gust to be able to deter it, so I don't think that was the thought process, but it could be.
If they go in and the rest get gusted back, that is going to be a huge separation of Roll20.
Yeah, I don't think so, but very rare do you see a Johanna Sonya rotation, so immediately I was like, is this something fishy here for Roll20? Last pick out of Space Station. With the false, I mean, you don't want to traditionally go with a secondary warrior into this, but you need to make up for either split pressure like a Sylve or something like and push all game, or you go for Shrine Control, and I doubt you match that of Roll20, so it's a tough last pick. They go with the Diva, maybe something to throw a couple bodies at Roll20 here.
Well, we know the power of Diva on Infernal Shrines. There's a lot of great places to self-destruct your mech and either get your opponents off of Shrines for long enough that you're able to claim the Punisher, or just gust them in and kill them all.
Yeah, or just gust them in and kill them all. This has
Both
been
are good.
It's been a weird draft here. I do think if Space Station Gaming finds a world where they are on completely even, when I say completely, I mean not just in experience, I need it on structures too. But let's say this is like 10-13 and it is a dead even game. I think it's in the realm of possibility that they end up winning it. But I do see Roll20 taking out front walls and getting a level lead probably pre-10, because let's be real here, they were winning everywhere, all over, in all the other games, and now they have a very offensive, structurally consuming, like, I mean, they're just going to be eating front walls left and right. So
yeah, and this is Roll20's best battleground to do that. They have insane rotations. They always seem like they have a mercenary camp somewhere in the worst time for you when you're playing against them. It is aggravating beyond belief, I am sure, to play versus Roll20 when they play on Infernal Shrines.
Yeah, any team that's good at split pressure, I guarantee it doesn't matter. You're just like, nope, don't want to deal with that. It feels, it's almost a different caliber, like a different game, really. Whenever you face that opponent that knows how to manipulate the map better than you, you're just kind of like, I don't understand what's happening right now, but I looked at the score, and I can't fight you anymore. So, like, what happened? Because I thought we were told, like, this is supposed to be a skill matchup. Like, I could team fight you. And it's just, Roll20 does feel like that team here over Spacestation Gaming.
Yeah, it's the last game for Spacestation to get a game win. Team Freedom, I know, is rooting for Spacestation right now. Team Freedom needs a better score in the series versus Tempo Storm. So if Roll20 were to lose one game versus Spacestation, then they might be able to win 3-0 versus Tempo and take that top seed in North America. Let's get to it and see how Game 3 goes on Infernal Shrines.
Prismat on Sonya isn't something you see every day.
Oh.
Yeah, he's going to ride that Sonya right up there to the front. The fact that he's going to be on a melee, I'm still struggling. And then what else do we have? We have Justin still on the Warrior.
Goku Morales. Tiger's back on Uther this game.
Goku Morales. What? Goku on anything that needs to run away from the opponent automatically, I'm just not a fan of, right?
So, you know, agreed. First of all, agreed. Second of all, do you remember that game where they played double support on Braxis, but it was double ranged, and we were like, Goku's playing Uther?
Yeah.
Maybe it is that if they played double support, Goku is the second support
player.
player.
And Prismat just flexes out.
Mm-hmm.
That is wild. 5-man collapse up on top. Roll20 splitting with a 3-2 as they, I mean, literally do every single time you put a 5-man in front of them. They will match it with 3 to try and stop it and outpush you with 2. It has been the go-to ever since the interesting 2-3 philosophy of laning has consumed North America, starting about a week or two before the midseason brawl, I think. Maybe a little bit earlier than that.
The G squad getting it done in the bottom lane. Glaurung and Goku. Morales and Vala.
Jason, no one. He landed, but quickly was like, maybe this is not the place that I want to be. And without a level 4, 4 is when Falset's skirmishing capabilities really come online. And no matter what build you go, that is not a full queue he wants to eat. He can't stay around here. That's going to be a free fort on bottom. Falset has to fly, but he flew down bottom and is dead twice.
Yeah, the range of grenade and hungering arrow way too severe. The best Spacestation can do is try to even out the odds by taking out this top fort with the tri-lane that they have. But they're against a perpetually full health prismaticism thanks to the Sonya and Bud's combination.
I'm astounded that Jason has honestly not backed and walked his way all the way out here. He did manage to get all of that XP of the last wave. Unable to say the same maybe about this below, but with that shrine spawning 11 seconds, if he flies bottom for the experience, then he has no capabilities up on top. So he's going to walk his way in, fly up towards top to take this fight, but Roll20 gets the fort for free. And this is, I mean, legitimately exactly what we were expecting to kind of unfold in this game, and why I said Spacestation has to be dead even if this is going to stand a chance, and I just don't think that they're going to.
Yeah, a little bit of difficulty with the draft, a little bit of just unlucky with the randomness of where the shrine would spawn. And now a new Barak falls as first blood for Roll20. We'll get onto the shrine, get adjusting there, so we can start, and Goku with the grenades, claiming some of these skeletal defenders.
Well, so with the Punisher, if they end up getting this, I mean, is there anything... We'll have Glaurung. He's going to be just fine. Is there any specific laning situation that we want to see out of them that could better the odds with this style of composition, maybe defensively? For both sides, just let's assume Roll20 picks it up. I'm trying to figure out, is there maybe something with this kind of unique draft of Roll20 that they should play it different? And not necessarily. As long as they're applying pressure, it can be with or without the Punisher. It really doesn't matter for them.
Yeah, they just want to be taking out front walls where possible. For now, they're just keeping Glaurung and Goku in the bottom, so maybe just... same as exactly what they have so far. They have Vala and Morales in the bottom, although those two are generally the ones that will be doing a lot of damage to the structure, so we may see them switch after the fact. But it's Prismaticism and Buds who will be keeping the Punisher company here in the top lane.
The leap's going to come up, but there's no kill potential up here. So, all right, they throw out the mecha, and Casanova regrets it immediately. He was that close from going down. He survives. And for a moment, Spacestation Gaming almost losing a member. Roll20 is going to be okay. But I was wondering, because they have that dominant laning, would they commit a little bit more to that Punisher, keep this 2 down below, and maybe transition somebody up towards top to maybe aid that Punisher? But it looks like Roll20 is comfortable kind of waiting out this 10, which they seem to be willing to do so. Much like they are in Battlefield of Eternity, it seems like they're a team that they like the idea of getting a lead and just waiting it until the spike they feel comfortable more than forcing it to come faster and faster and faster. It's just like, this is our lead, and it's like, all right, now when do we strike? Yeah,
it does seem like Roll20 are more formulaic with what they want to do, even with the mercenary camps here, but Spacestation has taken advantage of that in some capacity. They get a kill on Glaurung and Vala, weakening the damage of the 2-1-2. Now we've got Sonya and Lucio in the bottom. Johanna transitioning up to the top. I think this means that we're seeing the Vala and Morales move somewhere else potentially, or just a grouping for their bruisers, have the Shaman pushing for the next phase. They know that the next shrine is not going to be in the top.
That's something that they aim to be able to abuse. Spacestation by having that fall set up on top. That is already them showing that they are primed and ready for this. Casanova able to make it out there before possibly losing his mech. It's sitting pretty close to the mecha explosion too. Should be up before the next Infernal Shrine, really. And that is the biggest argument for D.Va on a map like this. So we'll see if they can get a bit more value than they did last time. But until then, it's just waiting for these Immortals. Roll20 has gotten enough out of that laning situation, the pressure that they wanted to apply early on, or at least seem to be okay with it enough. Shaman picked up perfectly timed, but it will be the same case for Spacestation. And again, they have the global, so a small edge here for Spacestation.
It does give them the edge with the global. The timing, though, allows Roll20 to make sure that they are in position for the shrine. They've already got Sonya down in the lower half of the battleground. She can move into the shrine. And Nubarak setting up so that he can anchor and see when Johanna wants to come in along with that too. Falstad in the top. Can Roll20 force him down before Spacestation get 10 for a fight? Ideally, when Roll20 is right about to get heroic abilities too. Like, no, they're just going to play patiently until they can get their heroics. Falstad does come down, but he did clear out these shamans, so it'll be in favor of them.
Yeah, it's going to be important. They cannot fail here. One kill is all it's going to take. Goku, though, he keeps himself alive with the shielding, but gives them the mobility to make it out. Roll20 survives. There's the mecha explosion. It's going to deter them as you see them all quickly walk on out. And Spacestation Gaming, they have 20 skeletal defenders, but it's all about this experience.
Yeah, the experience and no self-destruct. Now Casanova can bring back the mech, but without heroic abilities, Roll20 are far too scary with those heroics, so they're going to have to back off. They have some long-range abilities like the cocktails, like hammerings for Falstad, but it's just not worth the risk. They got the fort in top thanks to the Shaman camp, thanks to the global control, and that does catch them up enough that seemed like maybe they could try to get back in here, but instead they're just going to give that up. They're happy that they're able to take out the fort, and they'll just focus on defending the Punisher.
Falstad has shown himself up on top. Is going to draw some of the members of Roll20 back. That is way too much pressure to be able to deal with. And so they're looking like a 39 and out here strategy. This is cleverly done from Roll20. It is not necessary that they have to do this, but it is in their best interest to stall it out. Look at Prismat not showing, and essentially trying to bait some of the vision on the opposite side of the map so they can time that skeletal defender properly. It's just small things adding up here for Roll20. Now that they realize, okay, we can deal with the pressure, come in, try and get one.
Woo, that was 39 to 39 before Roll20 finally got that.
So, you know, while I was highlighting its clever play, it was a risk that maybe was a bit too close.
Calculated. Whew.
She says confidently.
Yes. So we've got Bunny Hop for D.Va. That's going to let her make sure that she can get into the good position with her mech for self-destruct. Focusing on Morales because we've got Stim Drone, no Medevac dropship, and also no Falling Sword or Leap, sadly. We've got Wrath of Berserker and Blessed Shield.
I don't know if that one is on the list of sadly, but it is. It was a pretty crazy theory, and we're going to stick to the norm. Front wall. Taken out here on to the bottom keep for Roll20. Does Spacestation move out and force the fight? This would be one of the few, and with that fall stab behind them, he should be gussing explosion.
Iron Skin. Only Buds was hit by that Prismaticism too. Pretty far out. There's the Bunny Hop. Taken down is Lieutenant Morales. Adjusting's very low as well. Sound Barrier comes out, but it's too late to save the life of Johanna. Things are falling apart in this fight for Roll20.
Once you lose one support, it's very quick that the second one is going to go down. That's kind of the reason that it is core to the meta. Prismat managed to live a little bit longer than the rest of them, but Spacestation Gaming took that clean 3-0 in that skirmish, and I feel like maybe the false set argument's now kind of showing. This is exactly why I was so concerned about that in Nubarak and that false set in the draft, is just you know that Lucio has to hit his heroic for the support to be effective. So then if you just concentrate on limiting Lucio's sound barrier, then who cares about double support? Just kill the one who can easily die and isn't self-sustaining.
Yeah, that was incredible synergy from Space Station that they're able to, Casanova goes down before D.Va can get back into the mech.
Glaring's got that stim drone. He's looking to pop off. He's got the mobility. One more. No Rain of Vengeance charges remaining, so they make it past that wall.
But the synergy for Spacestation last fight was excellent. The patience on Jason waiting for the right gust. Caught the couple necessary, and then the Divine Storm follow-up. And Bunny Hop, too, to allow D.Va to slow people down and combo off of the Uther with the Divine Storm. Generally, we see Big Shot, but here making a lot of sense with the synergy of Divine Storm. For Spacestation, they're still in this game as we get into the level 13, and they're structurally right about at the same point as Roll20.
So this is a really good invade for them, but one thing I think Spacestation Gaming really needs to keep in mind throughout this game that you might forget after winning a fight like that is that was only possible because Roll20 was sieging into you, and Falsehead was the one to open with a gust. If you do not open in that same clean, precise, and honestly just kind of handed to you positioning because of sieging and what the downside of sieging up like Roll20 had, if you open with a cocoon or anything like, you aren't going to win those fights the same manner. So that Falsehead constantly needs to be waiting for the siege, and invades like this I think are not really in their best interest.
Well, there is a possible explosion with Sound Barrier used earlier. Casanova can drop this. Divine Storm goes down too, but no one's kept in the explosion. Tiger JK just steps back on the point. He will steal it, but everyone from Space Station has to retreat, especially with Uther going down.
Just love that. Tiger's like, I'll take it. Yep, it might cost me a life, but it's worth. But I think that fight was it highlighted exactly what I was concerned about. We broke it down in the draft. It goes, okay, Gust into that. Lucio is the key factor here. But when you take that fight where Gust wasn't that big of a concern, the entire time over the wall, Morales was just sitting there throwing down the beam. She was not once under threat. And it didn't look close. When Roll20 gets the healing out like they want, these fights are not even. And so they cannot essentially take fights that Roll20 is not willing to give them that gust into isolation, cocoon immediately.
The invade for Roll20 was stopped from Space Station. Silver Linings, they get some Shaman there. We've got another Shrine.
There's
another
the fight.
Possible team fight.
That's the Falsehead flank that we need. He's looking for it. Here's the gust.
There's no self-destruct yet, though. Gust. Tiger JK doesn't have Divine Storm yet, but they do have Bunny Hop. It's on Goku and Glaring too. Rain of Vengeance was at a perfect position. Glaring just steps out using his movement speed. Lieutenant Morales has been found and taken out thanks to the cocoon on Buds.
Cocoon, no chance for the survivability for that Morales, but now Spacestation Gaming, they are backing out here because there's still, some scary members on the side of Roll20, and the Skeletal Defenders are very much in Roll20's favor. Just breaking past that 20 threshold. Somebody on the side of Roll20 will eventually have to respond to that Shaman, so it's in the interest of Space Station to buy as much time as they can, and they're going to do so, moving up, drawing out that sound barrier, and finding themselves a Falsehead.
The rotation around from Buds and Glowering was just perfect. Divine Storm catches Buds as he goes in, though, to try to get more healing on his team. Now the self-destruct is out. Buds is going to get pushed clear on the other side away from the rest of the team. Johanna drops. Daihu dives on top of Prismaticism and bring him down to only a couple more Skeletal Defenders needed. Buds was hoping to get the final one.
And the only people left alive or in a situation to make anything happen on the side of Roll20 are just not effective Shaman clears. And that has led it to where, though Glaring can come over and snipe it with a Q, it's going to cost them another kill here up on the top half of the map and a lot of damage onto the top keep. That Shaman camp has been doing work. It took Goku about 45 seconds, but, at the end of the day, he's doing his best here.
So that time we saw the flank, we saw the gust. Certain things weren't up in time to synergize fully with it. We didn't have the Divine Storm and the Self-Destruct together, but because the team was still effective in cocooning Lucio and taking out Lieutenant Morales,
it's literally the only goal. Every single type is just going to be exactly that. Like, you can honestly put it as a checklist, not even looking at it all. I just ask you, did they get the cocoon and did they kill Morales in the downtime? And if so, then Space Station, it's going to be a clean game. But Roll20 has endured it twice at this point in time. The second time not as clean as the very first one. I'm starting to feel like maybe the strength of Roll20 as a team and being able to adapt on the fly is going to outweigh the strength here of Space Station Gaming. And so the next initiation I hope to see as clean, but I feel like Roll20 is just going to kind of go, okay, stay spread. This is where the gust goes down, and be more aware there of the cocoon.
Generally, though, it's not often that you see Roll20 on Infernal Shrines be the team that is taking free structural damage from a mercenary camp. They're the ones in the mercenary camp control, but because Space Station have been willing to duke it out over the camp places. They've been able to steal here and there. They had the timing for the Shaman on top, and they have the global advantage that often it's Roll20 who has with something like their Dahaka, sometimes a Falstad. A lot of damage was done to that top lane, and that might be a point where Space Station can get their first win in the series.
It may be the section where they're able to get it here, but I am just... The one thing for me that always sits in the back of my head every single time is just, but it's Roll20. They haven't dropped a game. Like, they've dropped one game, excuse me, out of all of part number 2. So, after what I experienced in game 1 and 2, do I really think that Space Station Gaming is going to be the one who manages to do it? I just feel like there's no way. Though I see the story in front of me is telling me I'm wrong. Just something in my heart just tells me there's just no way.
I think it does come down to that fight that you mentioned. The next fight, if Space Station can win another fight with what's been working for them, or if Roll20 makes the necessary adaptation. Roll20 has cleared a way for them to take out a keep in the bottom lane, and the other 2 forts are low. This would be a great advantage for Roll20 because the Punisher is going to be in the bottom.
Very scary section. Even Benediction being used for Tiger JK. Blessed Shield thrown over the wall. Justing's in a bad spot. Rain of Vengeance is used, and a disengage for Space Station. Wow!
Stim drone for Glau. He's continuing to chase down Casanova.
They're just trying to force, but there's those forts there, so they're going to be able to make it out of here. That is, what, 3 heroics used? Well, not so much 3. It's more like 2 being dropped on the side of Roll20. They've got Wrath of the Berserker coming back very quickly there for Prismaticism.
Right.
And it's more the time advantage they have on these skeletal defenders. This is really the biggest advantage that Roll20 got out of that skirmish.
Yeah, you could tell they were hoping that they could force self-destruct to be used, but potentially that would have been sent right back into the team. So self-destruct still available, a possibility for Space Station, but it's D.Va. It takes her a little while to get here. We're at 24-6 skeletal defenders as D.Va approaches the shrine.
You see Jason still questioning, trying to find himself a flank at any point in time. He dodges the Spear of Prismat. That was must need. And now Trees is falling very, very low. 25-26 skeletal defenders for Roll20. There's the Mecha explosion. Roll20, looks like they make it out, except there's a Cocoon.
There is a Cocoon that should be on Lucio again. Buds gets out
thanks
to the amazing Blessed Shield. The counter kill on Greymane. Things starting to get better and better for Roll20 to make the changes needed in this with the Divine Storm.
Glarong, he gets the healing beam. Goku keeping him alive. As you said, that is the G and the G there. Goku and Glarong nailing it here. Dai, who is next to drop, they're about to pick themselves up this Punisher and march its way on to this bottom keep.
Bud's delivering the boops of death, I tell you, twice. He was on the other side. What is this support doing? But he's just fine. 4 kills for Roll20 as a Shrine is up. It is a Mortar Punisher. The team clearing the way for him, the path toward the bottom keep.
And exactly how we said, Roll20 showed their adjustments in the middle of the game to stop this synergy that Space Station Gaming has been able to display so far, using the Blessed Shield immediately after the Cocoon, getting the disengage, staying split and buying the time. They did everything flawless here, and I feel like very conveniently displaying why they are about to claim themselves the top seed in North America going into the HGC finals at BlizzCon.
And keeping eyes on Falstad. This is it for Space Station. The stem drone usage. Jason flies behind the backline, but the grenade stops him for a little bit for gusting. Roll20 on the core, 20%, and still going down with the sound barrier. Roll20 takes out Space Station Gaming, ending their career in part 2 of HGC, the regular season, with only a single game loss. They are the #1 seed, #1 team in North America. Huge congrats to Roll20.
21-0 was the goal, but I think 21-1 is not too shabby there, Justin.
It's pretty good.
Pretty good.
Pretty darn good. 1 game loss. 1 game on Sky Temple to even in death. Otherwise, ridiculous how strong Roll20 has been in part 2. So many 3-0s, ending on a 3-0. It cannot feel better for a team to go into HGC finals and represent NA than that kind of record.
Absolutely. I completely agree. And the biggest thing for me is that when Roll20 plays other teams in North America, they make them just look not as good. And that has been something I've been waiting to see. It feels like I haven't seen in almost a year and a half, to where a North American team, it's like the #1 seed versus the #4, and you just watch them go, yeah, that's easy, and just that's gone. The 4th seed is no longer. The 1st seed just keeps going on until you get to the finals and is a bit more competitive there. And so whenever that has happened, we have performed the best internationally. And that is why I look at this and I go, I'm not going to claim it's going to be our best in a long while, but I feel like for the first time in a while, I have my actual hope here between North America, and hoping that these teams really can, if maybe not stand out, at least, you know, show up here against EU.
Yeah, it feels like it. Like it's the strongest for NA going into an international event of all year. Let's talk to Justin in Roll20. Congratulations, Justin. Just one game lost, all of part 2. How does it feel?
Feels pretty good. Would have been a little bit better if we didn't drop that one game to even in death, but it still feels pretty good.
So now you guys are all done with the season. You end at the very top of North America. Huge congrats on that. You guys definitely deserve it. Only losing the one game, even though, you know, it's the one game. 21-0 would have been nice. What's the plan for getting ready for HGC finals and making sure that you can give your best performance at BlizzCon?
I think the biggest thing is we just have to make sure that we keep staying focused in practice. Our practice regimen isn't really going to change much. We've been putting in a lot of preparation for all of our HGC matches, so I think we'll do the same for BlizzCon and should hopefully put on a good show there.
Awesome. I look forward to it. Dred?
My biggest thing is just got to be about the Zod, the Kel'Thuzad Zod that we were talking about here today. He is... Obviously, teams are respecting him and showing a bit of fear maybe into the Kel'Thuzad, according to the interviews that we had, but we saw very little of him here. So I just got to ask, is this purely just of a hiding strats for playoffs, or is this genuinely people really feel like his maybe not as strong as he was at first glance?
I think it's definitely that he's maybe not as strong as people thought.
Okay.
Basically, just like his immobility with how squishy he is makes him a pretty easy target to dive onto. So he basically himself just requires a lot of support just to keep him alive. And then also armor, since all of his damage is in bursts, armor right now is pretty meta. So it's pretty hard to pick him early in the draft without just getting hard countered by like an Uther, for example, and just losing all of your burst, where a ball is just continuously putting out the damage. So that just seems to be the meta right now.
All right. Well, thank you very much for the insight. Now we understand the Zod a bit better.
Hopefully we'll get more of him soon. We got one. It was fun. Justin, I'm going to put you on the spot here a little bit. We know you and Freedom are going to HGC finals. Out of the 4 teams in playoffs, who do you think will be the 3rd team from North America?
I think it's either Tempo or Gale Force. Probably leaning a little more towards Gale Force.
All right. It makes sense. They have kind of the positional advantage, only have to play that one series, but... Yeah, it's kind of hard for us to figure it out, too, with the inconsistencies, the resurgence of superstars and space stations. So thank you for giving your insight, and the time is now for some shout-outs.
Oh, shout-outs to my team. Shout-outs to Roll20 for sponsoring us. They've been great. And shout-outs to all the fans for supporting us. Sorry we couldn't get the 21-0, but we tried our best, and it was close.
It was pretty darn close. 21-1 is a good job. Congrats again, Justin.
Yeah.
Good luck at BlizzCon.
Yep. Thanks, guys.
Roll20 has the top spot in North America, a team that started Phase 1 brand new. We did not know at all how they were going to be. They had people who had been in top 8 teams before. They had Yoda, who was brand new to being in the top of NA. And then they've made lots of adjustments. They've been trying to figure out how to find themselves, how to best approach their role swap or roster swap, bringing in Goku. They didn't even make it to the Western Clash this phase. And now they end at the top of the standings. Let's take a look at it. They will be joining Team Freedom again at the HGC Finals at BlizzCon. We're still waiting. We'll know next week who will be the 3rd and final team through playoffs. Lag Force and Even to Death, we haven't seen them yet. We know that they're going to the Crucible, and we'll see who is the stronger team, at least tomorrow, as they go head-to-head.
Yeah, that would be an interesting one to keep an eye out for there. And again, these are the absolute standings. Nothing's going to change, and it's a bit sad, you know, to kind of sit here and know that it's not going to be able to change the outcome, but it's also a bit nice knowing that, again, we get the next chapter of HGC and HGC North America. We get to see how we're going to do internationally. It's scary. It is. It's a scary time to be a North American fan, but I really do feel like this has got to be our best shot. Everything adds up to like that is the case, but I feel like I felt that way one other time before, and I was very wrong. So now I'm just like, well, it could go in either direction. Doesn't
want to wear his heart on his sleeve, but, you know, deep down, Dred's got the feels for the NA teams that are going. Let's take a look at tomorrow's schedule. It's the last day of the HGC regular season before playoffs, before the Crucible. It has been a wild ride this year, guys, but it has been an absolute blast. We've got Zealots versus Team Good Guys and Fnatic versus Playing Ducks in Europe. Then in North America, Even in Death versus Lag Force. And finally, Tempo Storm versus Team Freedom.
Tempo Storm and Team Freedom. It is a bit kind of kitty wampus in the fact that those two are going head-to-head in the 5th week, right? In the very last series, because these were like at the very beginning, we were just like, these are the best in North America, right? And now we kind of know that's only true for one. And it's just amazing how if this was week 1 versus week number 5, what we view that series and what would be on the line and what is all mattering. It means nothing. And in fact, Team Freedom is actually heavily favored.
Well, let's see if Team Freedom has made it on the top 3 cheered teams for NA yet. They haven't so far been able to break in to the Roll20 Gale Force and Tempo, and that remains as Roll20 is still at the top. Gale Force not too far behind. And then Tempo Storm. Tempo Storm will be able to catch up tomorrow when they play.
Yeah,
This is Team Freedom.
Yeah, I'm sure Gladman will do his best there with Tempo Storm. I believe Tempo Storm was the first team that he decided to claim the first place spot and never let go of once more. But yeah, it's just... It is kind of interesting that Tempo Storm, Gale Force, and Roll20, the old of North America. So it's kind of like we noted that originally, right? That the most supported teams were the ones who were at the top. So suddenly, do we see that change if maybe that 3rd seed is no longer one of those teams?
Ooh, that's a good question. If it's Superstars or Space Station.
Do you see people just cheer their butts off? Because, I mean, it makes the most sense, right? They'll be your representatives for such a long while.
Heck yeah. That's it.
That's it.
We'll have to see. That's it, guys. Thanks so much for hanging out with us today, and we'll see you tomorrow. Good night.